Good morning, folks. Well, as we said, we were going to do a week's worth of how to get the press on board and also getting everything else done, including getting companies on board. And look who's turned up this morning. Yep, this is Nick. Say hello, Nick. This is Nick from BBC Radio Shropshire. How we doing, Nick?
Well, it's a bit wet, isn't it?
Bit wet.
And we were saying that actually for your challenge, this is perfect conditions to train in because the tyre moves a bit better when it's wet, but these are very, very wet conditions. So I'm full of admiration for what you're looking to do.
Excellent. Well, that's Nick from BBC Radio Shropshire. So let's crack on with the video, folks. So tell you how to do it. So you can see the BBC were with us, but just before that, what's happening next week? Well, next week we just submitted something to the Guinness Book of Records, so tune in next week to find out exactly what it is. Anyway, let's crack on, find out why we want to get the press on board. Welcome, folks, to episode 4. So what are we going to go through in this episode? Well, as you've seen from the prelim, the BBC came visiting, so we're going to go through how you get the media on board when you're running any YouTube channels or doing any challenges. Second to that, I'm going to be running through how you get free kit as well, because we're testing a lot of kit on this challenge, so let's get that done as well and how we're going to do it. With a quick rerun before that of what we've been doing this week. Well, this week we've done quite a few things. One is we've re-rigged the tyre. Hopefully you can see back there now, there is a yellow cord that is connected. Now what I've been doing with this cord is I actually connected it up. It's called parachute cord. And I've got 4 strands. So basically, as you can see here, there's 4 strands together. And the idea being of that is if one of them snaps during the training, the other 3 should hold, which means I can get to the end of the trek and fix it. Whereas before I had 1 strand all the way, and when it snapped, everything came to an abrupt halt. That's called parachute cord, as I say. You can get it off Amazon, it's dirt cheap, and it's really, really good to use. Second to that, I've actually extended the length of the rope somewhat, so the tyre remains flat on the floor at all times. It was jerking a little bit, which basically meant I was forever doing that. And the trouble is there, you're putting quite a lot of strain on your back and also the rest of your joints. So I've extended it so the tyre remains flat on the floor. Thirdly, this sounds a bit strange, but I've also changed the flags. Now the flags themselves, I haven't actually changed the flags. What I have done is change this here. Now this is more flexible now. The reason for that is I was using some that you connect to bicycles, and they had little clips in between to connect them. They're only about 1 foot long. You have to connect several of them together to get 3 foot high. But the joints, sadly, were very, very weak. It was their sort of Achilles heel, and they're forever snapping. I put really thick tape on them. They snapped again. So now what I've done is bought complete 1 whole tube of I think sort of fiberglass, sort of PVC. It's a little bit more flexible, which means it shouldn't break. I'm going to trial them out as well. So it's been quite a busy period on the old kits this week. But why don't we crack on and see how to get these press on board. Let's see what's been happening, why the BBC came to see us, why I'm in the Herefordshire Times. Let's see what's happening. Okay, so how we get the press on board then? Well, I've been working with the press for quite a while because I used to own a company called Spice Thames Valley, which was an adventure company. We used to try and get a press on board for that. I learned a lot of lessons actually of how to do this. First thing, you've got to get something unique that they want. That may sound silly and sort of obvious, but let's say something's happening in the world, then you can try and piggyback on that and do something similar. Or, as I've done, do something unique. Now, the South Pole itself as a world record attempt is relatively unique. But considering it's not until November 24, that's a long, long way ahead for a news channel to pick up just on that story alone. It's very unlikely it would happen. It might happen a little closer to the time, but it's very unlikely to happen this far out. What I've also done is the uniqueness of that is go, okay, what else can I do? Well, I've decided to do John O'Groats to Land's End. That's pretty unique. No one's ever done it, dragging a tyre as we are today. That was relatively unique as well, and that would also hopefully tag some of the press to go, I'm interested in that, what's that all about? The third way, as I've just done with the third bit, is then drag the tyre around and announce to people what you're doing. Those three things together are unique, and you will find the press will come to you because they want to understand what your story is. Now, how do you get your story out there? That's a whole different ball game, because you're doing all these unique things. How do you actually get the story out there? Well, this time I've used a lot of, obviously YouTube is coming together rather well, and when I'm doing this video, I think we had about 570 subscribers as I'm walking down today. So it is getting out there. But local people were getting to know me because I'm walking around with a tyre. Well, that led to, okay, well, how can I let a lot more people locally get to know me? I then looked on Facebook originally for all the local groups, local towns around me. Well, what I did was a lovely post with the videos from YouTube explaining exactly what I'm doing and thanking everybody for actually saying hello while I'm out and about, stopping and being interested in what I'm doing. Obviously, I can't stop all the time because I need to get on training, but it was really nice to let everybody know. From that, for example, in the Ludlow local group, I think I've got about 100 likes on my post, and strange enough, similar in the Herefordshire one. As such, 2 people got in touch with me, one from the Herefordshire Times, and as you've just seen, one from BBC Shropshire as well. Now they're interested because they realise that the viewers that are looking at my posts on the Facebook, because of what I'm doing, these 3 unique things, are the same viewers they have. So therefore it's something they would like to pick up on to tell their viewers. That may sound quite straightforward, but if you think about it, how I came up with the idea of going to the pole, then the idea of going John O'Groats to Land's End, then obviously I was pulling a tyre, but then how to get that story of my tyre and what I'm doing out to the local groups was exactly how I did it. You can do exactly the same, but you need to come up with something unique. I see far too many people wanting to launch, say, a product, and they think, oh, best product in the world, let's throw it out there, everybody will want it. You've got to get people looking at it, liking it, before the press will pick it up. Hopefully there are a few tips. What I want to do now is jump on the laptop and show you how I've got a database together of all the local and national, not just local, national as well, PR companies, media companies, so you can see exactly how I'm doing this. Let's just cross over there a second and see exactly how that's going on. So the database, folks. Well, this is the start of my database. It's very, very simple to put together. You literally start looking at TV, radio, news websites, things like that. It's exactly what I've got here. Now, the way I did it was I looked for the TV regions. For example, I simply Googled BBC TV regions, and it came up with this map when you look on Google. The other one was for ITV TV regions, for example. And the great thing there is then you can start looking up for those individual channels and looking up their contact details. Radio is very similar. You just look up radio in exactly the same way. News websites were slightly different because I was looking for national news websites. Now, the easiest way to do that was I just simply typed into Google which were the biggest news websites out there. And as you can see, big long list here. Then all you need to do is type in BBC Contact, The Sun Contact, Mail Contact, etc., 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 all the way through, and you get the contacts there. What you end up with when you start putting this information together, for example, if I just typed in for Midlands Today contact information, they've got everything here. They've got telephone numbers, they've got the email, they've got the Twitter, the Facebook, they've got the whole lot here. So very quickly, you can get a spreadsheet here of exactly what things are. Media TV, for example, BBC Look North gives you the telephone number, gives you their Twitter, and it also gives the Look North email address as well. It gives everything there. Now, I've put this in order of how I'm coming down from John O'Groats to Land's End, and that's the order it's in. So all the way down. The green is television, the orange is radio, the yellows are the town. I'll go into them slightly in a second, and the blue ones are the news websites. Go all the way down, and right at the bottom we've got the national ones. So you've got all the national TVs, for example, Morning Britain, Breakfast, and all the national websites, the Sun, the Mirror, you name it, all of them in there, all the big ones. So I've got a database together here very quickly on how to contact different people in the media. Now what I need to do is start making contact with them. But because of what I said earlier in the video and how I've actually done, how I've got my story out there, these people are starting to come to see me already. Now that's resulted in straight away For example, in the last couple of days, we were already in the Herefordshire Times. This is the Herefordshire Times, for example. They've kindly put my video up there with a lovely article about what I'm doing, etc. It's really, really good. The BBC have done the same this morning. This is in the Herefordshire and Worcester area, so South Pole Dream for Tyre Pulling Adventurer, and they put lots of stuff in there as well. Really, really good. Great picture as well. Got to be honest, great picture there. But this is the sort of things you can get automatically by just doing this simple thing of getting your database together, getting your story, as I've said there, getting it all organised and getting it up there. Something that I've added extra onto this is the towns. Now I'm travelling through certain areas, for example, Wick, Inverness, Perth, Edinburgh, you name it, all the way down the country. Now, I tried my local council over in Leominster and eventually found out, oddly enough, by the other local council, I'm near Ludlow, that I need to get hold of the town clerk. That's who you actually need to get hold of if you want any of the local towns to follow what you're doing. So now what I'm doing is simply going through all these towns that I'm passing through and starting to put the information in there, simply typing in town council, Ludlow, for example, who's the town clerk, contacting the town clerk, getting the information in my database, and I've also made contact with them. So when I'm out and about, I'll be doing the challenge from John O'Groats to Land's End, I can email the town clerk way beforehand to say I'm coming through the town in approximately 2 days or whatever it may be. This is a simple database to put together, folks. Anyone can do it. I highly recommend it if you're going to be doing anything like this, because you have all the media contacts to hand. You can get to them very quickly. But it's really, really easy. Hopefully that's helpful, and we'll crack on with the next bit. Sorry, folks, we're not going to have time to get through how to get companies on board and how to get free kit from these to test as well. So we'll go through that next week, along with what went to the Guinness Book of Records. That's I'll let that one out next week. But just to conclude, as you can see, there's quite a lot of work in getting yourself a database of media together, but it's well worth it, because the bigger your list, the more you can punch out there. And if you keep punching it out there, some of them will pick it up. Also, the tips about being unique, that is critical, folks. You can't just send I don't know, what do we call it, product out there and just assume that the press will pick it up, because they won't. You can't also send an idea out there and assume the press will pick it up, because they won't. You've really got to bring something to them that is unique. In my case, it was 3 things: the South Pole, the John O'Groats Land's End, and also pulling a tyre. Then on top of that is how you get your story out there. I use local groups. They're really, really good on Facebook. They're very engaging. That got enough out there, and strange enough, some press are actually in those local groups as well. And if they see it, it's unique enough, they'll come following for you. Hope you've really enjoyed that, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe and share to as many people as possible, and we'll catch you next week. Thank you very much.